There we are. All right, group, how is everybody doing? Let me just pull it up on my phone so we can make sure we can see everything at once. So I know that we're on, not glitching today. Perfect. I can see us. I can hear us. We're here. It's a special day.
Awesome. Way to go.
It is Wednesday. Obviously, we normally come to all of you amazing ladies on Tuesday for our coaching call. But today we have a very special guest just for you ladies. Karen is here to chat with us. Karen is a registered psychotherapist, College of Registered Psychotherapists. I can't talk today. Psychotherapist of Ontario, Canada, and certified yoga instructor. I was up at 6 o'clock this morning doing my yoga, Karen. I wasn't happy about
awesome.
it, but I was up.
There you go. That's all we can do, right?
Happy about the yoga, not happy about the time.
Exactly.
Karen has over 20 years clinical experience working with individuals suffering from trauma and emotional difficulties. She's a leader treating emotional regulation and trauma. Having worked in a hospital-based outpatient clinic, she's created and facilitated programs for individuals suffering from trauma and emotional challenges like extreme, rapidly changing moods, depression, anxiety, personality disorders, and trauma. You're currently working in private practice, virtually offering individual psychotherapy in addition to some self-guided home study courses where you can work at your own pace with the level of support you decide is appropriate for you. That is amazing, Karen. Well, thank you for joining us today.
Well, it's my pleasure. Thank you for asking me.
Absolutely. So today, ladies, we're going to discuss and figure out, you're going to learn about the scientific basis of sugar and cravings and the role that your nervous system plays in your behaviors. We're also going to learn about how you can begin the road to health and restoring harmony in your mind and in your body. I know this is something that everybody wants to hear about. I think we got a couple watching over on Facebook, which is amazing. And I'm just thinking that maybe I didn't give everybody the link for today. So I'm glad you guys are jumping in on Facebook. But while we're chatting, I'm going to dump a link in the group that you guys can grab because it's probably not the same one. I thought it was going to be the same one as the coaching call, but since a few of you are over there, that might not be the case. Let me know, ladies, did you try the coaching call link? Let me know in the comments first. If you tried the coaching call link to get on. Perfect, Erin, you're on. Can you help out and figure out if those ladies can get on this call for me, please? If not, I'll send you the link. Amazing. Love it when my team jumps in.
There you go. Perfect. It works. Get everybody on the same page.
Exactly. That would totally be my fault if it was the wrong link.
That happens.
Weren't we just talking about this? You know,
Yeah,
sometimes
exactly.
things just don't flow the way they're supposed to, but we pick it up and we figure it out.
Exactly.
All right. It is not the link. So I am going to find this link, Karen, but while we do, can you just talk to us about, you know, what does biology and neuroscience have to do with actual sugar cravings?
Okay. This is a really great question because actually most people don't think about sugar cravings as being something that could be biology based because it seems pretty like, okay, so I just want sugar, but there is biology that explains why that happens. So, and some positive hope for people that get struggled with this kind of thing. So it's based on, first of all, a little bit of nervous system 101 and the work of the man that I do. He's amazing and learn a lot about biology and impulses and things like that is Dr. Stephen Porges, sorry. And he had something, he's the originator of the polyvagal theory. Anyway, we are run by our nervous system, runs everything in our whole body. And there's two pieces of your nervous system. There is your automatic nervous system, as its name implies, it's automatic. It's, things like heart rate, your heart beating and your breathing and, that kind of thing that, we don't have to think about, okay, let my heart's kind of beating faster, slower, whatever. And then there's the parasympathetic, the autonomic nervous system. So, and it has two branches. There's the sympathetic nervous system, and a parasympathetic nervous system, and they work in conjunction with each other.
Mm.
So, and most of this is probably going to be familiar for most people, but the sympathetic branch of the nervous system is your fight, flight, fright. So that's when, you see a dog behind you that look kind of mean, and you're going to run out of the way. Your
like mine behind
branch.
me? Probably
Yeah,
not.
there you go. Now,
He's probably not going to trigger that.
Yeah, he's in parasympathetic mode. I think he's pretty cool.
Exactly.
But when we need to, our sympathetic branch kicks in and lets us gives us the adrenaline shot, whatever it is we need to run away from that dog, that tiger, whatever it is, right? So our system, this is the other thing, is like these systems are working to keep us safe and to keep us protected. That's their role. It doesn't matter. This is the challenge, is it doesn't know the difference between there's, a tiger behind me that I need to run away from, and, oh, this is a really stress and I need to get away from that. An emotional stress. Your body treats it the same. So that's one important point to really remember, is your body treats those emotional stressors the same as the tiger. So it's going to shoot that same chemicals, that all that stuff in your system the same. So it's still going to have that ready to jump away. But, if you're in the office or something and something's happened or whatever, you can't go for a run, particularly. You got to, okay, how can I manage that? Anyway, so kind of got sidetracked a little bit. But so your parasympathetic branch is the branch then that travels, it goes from your brainstem all the way downwards to the heart, lungs, diaphragm, stomach, everything, and then upwards to connect with the nerves in your neck. So in your parasympathetic branch, there is it's run by the vagus nerve, and there's two branches. So there's one called the ventral pathway, which responds to cues of safety, and then there's a dorsal pathway, which responds to danger cues. So those two pathways are active, like they depend. So they depend on what's the way your body perceives this stress or whatever it is. So if let's say you're going along and you're outside and you're in nature and you're doing okay, then you're in the safety. Your parasympathetic, your calming system is engaged, and that's your rest and digest, your healing, your immune system getting better, that kind of thing. But if you have an emotional stressor and or a physical one, maybe you get hurt or somebody had scared you or something like that, then your sympathetic branch jumps in, your fight, flight, fright, and that causes you some anxiety. You sent that hormones and everything gets sent up to you and gets you ready to run away from the tiger. So this stuff
most
is
of
natural.
us are probably feeling that a lot, right, in this group because of pain.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm glad you mentioned. Yeah, Deb, for sure. Pain is a huge stress. Pain is a stressor on the body. So when you have this pain, then you're in that mode of close to, probably this is one of the issues, is you're so close to that fight, flight, fright system being active all the time that it doesn't take much to push it over. And where the biology comes in with this sugar story is in cravings, is that we have within our systems, we're created to avoid danger, but we want pleasure. That's inborn in us. Okay. And when that's our sort of our way of walking through life, then it makes sense that when you're experiencing some kind of pain, you're going to want to either avoid it, push it away. I don't want it. And not just, pushing it away is probably going to make it bigger because you're paying attention to, I don't want you, and you're resisting it. Or the other piece is you're going to want some pleasure somehow. So the pleasure that you want is the craving for the sugar, because that's a positive, right? And probably from past experience, you probably got your things that you like, that, okay, this makes me feel good. But the problem is it's temporary, right? As we know, and then it sounds like it, for some individuals, it will trigger worse issues. But the biology is why you have that craving is because your natural system doesn't want the pain. So you're going to experience more sugar cravings when you're in pain, which is, and maybe sugar is part of it. Who knows? But if it is, then, it's like the dog chasing its tail, right? You want to get rid of it, but the thing you're going to reach for it is making it worse. But at the same point, it's like, okay, all your system knows is I got to get rid of this. I want some pleasure. And there's another study that I was just looking at the other day where they talked about people. There's a piece of your brain called it's linked to the fight, flight, fright system called your anterior cingulate. And they are saying that it is overactivated. It's really strong in people that are perfectionistic, have craving, addictive type of behaviors, which, sugar is an addiction of, wanting it. So if this part of your brain, this anterior cingulate, is neurologically bigger, then that's going to make it even more difficult, I think, to be able to resist that, right? So your biology is kind of working against you, so to speak, but that's, that's just the way our bodies are created. And it give you a little bit of a side story of why we're created that way. There's something that Dr. Rick Hansen talks about, the negativity bias. And this is the way we're wired. And it comes from evolution of, millions of thousands, back to the caveman days. Like, so if you think about it, if a caveman was going and leaving to go on his hunt in the morning, and during his hunt, he went out and he saw a beautiful field of flowers. And then he's going a little bit further and he saw, oh my gosh, there's a lion den. That's where that lion lives. So then when he went back home, he has that experience. So the next day when he goes out to hunt, which thing do you think he's going to remember? Yeah. Is he going to remember the lion den, or is he going to remember the flowers? Right? Well, our biology is created so that we will remember the lion's den because it's life or death. It's not life or death if he remembers the flowers. So that's the gist of, because I know people say, well, how come I'm wired that way? It doesn't make any sense, but it goes back to evolution. Even though we're not cavemen anymore, our bodies are wired the same.
100%.
So that's, I don't know if that makes sense to you, but that's kind of the reason why. So our systems are basically survival based, is what the long and the short of it is, right? And we're meant to, we really have that strong innate desire for pleasure as well.
Yeah, and that makes it so difficult, right? Because here we are, a group of women that are trying to find migraine freedom. And in order to do so, they have to give up some things that they love or that they think they love, and then they have to deal with pain at the same time, which makes it very difficult to, try to determine, okay, well, if I give that up, that's going to cause stress. But if I don't give it up, it's going to cause stress.
Yeah, exactly.
So then where do I go? So is there anything that can kind of be done to override this impulse, to self-medicate with sugar, or, what can they do?
Yeah, for sure. No, another great question. And this is a good way to kind of segue into this, because the first part seemed kind of negative, but you can, what we call, quote unquote, hijack your physiology, your natural biological basis. We can hijack that. But and the more you hijack that, then the easier it's going to be to do that. So because there's this old saying, this saying with biologies say that, what is it? The neurons that fire together wire together. Mm-hmm. So the more we we do well, everybody knows that the more you do a behavior, the easier it becomes.
Yeah.
When like when you talked about your yoga, you get up early in the morning and did your yoga. If we do that every day, or even 4 times a week, then it becomes easier to get up. And it's almost like your body wakes you up at that time because you're used to it.
It does. It's so annoying.
Right? I know.
I meant in a good way, but it is annoying.
Yeah, no, for sure. I know when I retired, it's like it took my body a few months to realize, okay, I don't have to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning anymore.
Yeah. And the funny thing, and this is a total side note, but the funny thing is my dog Patches, he sleeps on the floor in my bedroom.
Right.
I get up at 5:30 every morning for yoga. 5:15 every single day that dog jumps in bed, waiting for the warm spot. Because he knows.
He knows you're going to get up.
So very quickly, we all adapt.
Yes.
When we do something over and over and over again. So it's not just my behavior that is impacted by my setting the alarm every day. It's his too.
Exactly. Because he's in your environment, right? So he learns. And dogs are very smart. I know ours is too.
They are.
So we can hijack our physiology, and the way we need to do that, though, the first part of it is, and I think this, I was listening to this the other day. One of my favorite person to study and read is John Kabat-Zinn, who brought mindfulness to North America many years ago and created the stress reduction clinic. And I was listening to something this morning, and he was talking about, and this is so true, it's that being aware, because remember, your automatic nervous system, these things that cause that have you have that sugar craving, is subconscious. It's happening to survival base because I'm feeling pain. I don't want that pain. So what we can do is pay attention to that and make it more active. We're an active participant. Talk about being able to speak right. Participant. I think it must be catchy, Deb.
I know.
It's we want to be an active participant in our health and in our trigger and in our cravings and that kind of thing, rather than the victim. Because we can feel like a victim when we're not conscious and we don't know what's happening. So we can hijack our physiology by becoming an active participant in this whole deal. So the part of it that is to notice the impulse, notice what's happening, and then being, and this is, I think, being able to get a space there between the noticing the craving and the grabbing of the sugar of whatever it is. Because and you do that by pausing, taking a breath, just practicing. Okay, you notice, maybe you're partway to the kitchen where you're going to get your sugar fix or whatever, and you stop yourself and go, okay, whoa, what am I doing? What's happening here? Oh, okay, I want some sugar. And if you can pause it for a minute, just take a couple of deep breaths, pause it, just kind of. So then as soon as you've done that, you're in conscious control. Then you've got more of a choice about what you do. You still might choose to have the candy bar or whatever the sugar is you're going to have. You might, that's perfectly fine. That may be a choice you're going to do. But you may choose to, no, you know what? I think I'm going to take the dog out for a walk instead, or maybe have a nice glass of ice water with some lemon in it or something, or go choose something else. So the piece is hijacking the physiology by being aware. So what I tell people to be able to do is, if you can, and there's a pretty easy, well, because it's an acronym of a good word, is stop. So stopping, taking a step back out of automatic pilot, because when we're subconscious and we're kind of going automatically, we're going like that automatic pilot, right? It's like our car that goes in drive without us in it. And then O, so STO is observing the craving, what's there. Okay, I'm in the kitchen right now. I've got the hand on the fridge. I'm going to open the door, observing whatever it is. Or maybe I'm in the supermarket getting my groceries and I'm going up the candy aisle. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to buy that. Recognizing what's going on there and other thoughts. Oh my gosh, so then there's maybe beating thoughts in my brain saying, well, I really want that right now, but I know I shouldn't buy it. And then the P is just proceeding mindfully, or making a conscious choice of what you're going to do, whatever that is.
Absolutely. And I think that's important that you said that, Karen, that sometimes you ladies may make the choice to have the sugar, but being able to take that pause is going to give you that moment to actually remember why you might not want it, what it did last time, and if it's worth it, right? Because based on our threshold, did you have a day that your body can handle that sugar? Or are you grabbing for that sugar because you're totally stressed, you didn't sleep last night, you didn't exercise today, you ate a crappy breakfast, so now you're grabbing sugar? Well, if you do that pausing, then your body's going to go, oh, danger, danger,
Yeah,
danger.
exactly.
Versus a beautiful sunny day outside, you slept well, you got up at 5:30 and did yoga, you're having a great day, it's your kid's birthday party, and you're like, you know what, I want a piece of cake. Two totally different scenarios, but if you're on autopilot, like Karen said, you're going to eat the cake both times.
Exactly.
One of those times is not going to turn out well.
Exactly. Yeah. You want to be a participant in your own health. And you everyone is, because you've signed up for this Debbie's Great program to learn to bite the bullet and get past these migraines. And that's really an important choice. So now just following through with being able to stay an active participant in your health is really, really important. So being able to do the stop skill is the first thing. As soon as you noticed, and this is the other thing that's interesting, the more you practice this, the more it's going to become like automatic pilot, or it's going to become automatic to you more. Like you're going to eat, or not, I shouldn't say automatic. It's going to become more in your face to be able to do.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as you say, oh, I should do the stop skill, you're present right there. You've broke the victim mode right there, just by noticing that. So, and like I said to you earlier, the more you do something, the easier it will become to do. And you're going to do it more, so if you got yourself maybe in a routine of, okay, I'm going to grab a couple of nuts instead of that candy or whatever, then that's going to become more of a learned behavior. Excuse me. So what I suggest with a lot of my clients is this, and this is one of the first things I do with almost all my clients, not very many of them, they don't, to start practicing the stop skill. And what I say to them, okay, and because it's a new behavior, you're not going to remember to do it. That's human nature. We're not, and we're busy people. So, what you have to do is I give people choices. Either you can take this stop skill and do it morning, noon, night before you go to bed. And so you're going to be guaranteed 4 times, or and I've had some really funny things that people have told me about this. Pair it with something you do often during the day.
Yeah.
Every time I do X, I'm going to do stop skill. And there's people that would say, okay, every time, maybe if they were in a house where they walk through a certain doorway throughout the day, well, then every time I walk through that doorway, I'm going to do that. So whatever it is. And then what you're going to start noticing is then, it's like waking up to the alarm, that before the alarm goes off, you're going to start doing it more and more often and being present more in your life. And the more present you are in your life, then you can choose to be a participant in whatever it is you're doing, rather than being a victim of your cravings and, that kind of thing. So once you've got your stop skill, though, if we can take it a step further, okay, so let's say you have a craving, you've done the stop skill, you're in the kitchen, you're breathing, and you're kind of going, okay, what am I doing? Oh yeah, I'm going to reach, but do I really want to do that? Observing where I'm feeling in my body. Is my heart going, am I hot? Am I cold? Really recognizing, and maybe it's like, you know what, maybe I'm thirsty. Maybe I need to go get a glass of water, whatever. So once you've stopped, though, then you can choose to do what else you want to do. So slowing down the sympathetic nervous system, your fight flight system is what you want to do. So we want to engage more of the parasympathetic nervous system, the calming system. So we can do that by either doing some deep, slow breaths, focusing on the slow out breath with your mouth. So breathe in through your nose, open your mouth a little bit, and push that air out as if you're blowing a candle out slowly. And if you do that a few times, that's going to help bring your you're back online to your calming system. So that could be one thing you could do. Another thing, maybe you, after you've done your check-in, you think, you know what? It's a gorgeous day. It's nice. I think I'm going to take the dog out for a walk. Physical activity. Perfect. Let's go do that. Another choice could be, and I don't know whether you talk, Debbie, anything in your mindset part of your program, gratitude, giving gratitude, writing down in your gratitude journal, or writing down, or even thinking, just reviewing over with yourself things you're grateful for, all that stuff, and going in nature, music, all those things are noted to decrease that sympathetic response, that fight flight response. So first of all, if you've done the stop and you're an active participant, then you can choose what you want to do. And maybe there's a day that you might still say you're going to choose the sugar, and that's fine. You're just saying, okay, I've made that conscious choice, but with our choice becomes, our consequences of our choices, and I'm sure you talk about it as well. But just by learning to take that stop skill and pausing and learning to do that pause, we can hijack that natural physiology to increase the pleasure. And basically you're teaching your system a different branch of pleasure, a different way of self-soothing yourself.
Absolutely, because that does become a habit, right? Like anything else,
Mm-hmm.
Watching TV before bed, or, the time of day we brush our teeth, or whatever we do, all those things become a habit so quickly, and sugar can sneak in as a habit. It used to be a habit of ours when I grew up. I mean, we always had dessert after dinner. Didn't matter.
For sure, I grew up that way too.
Yeah, didn't matter.
Yeah.
It made no difference if you were hungry or not. My grandmother made dessert, you ate dessert. It was,
exactly.
but that's just a habit. So I think what's important here is that for us ladies who, are trying to do a whole bunch of things, lists are super helpful for us, right? So Karen just gave us some great ideas with the journaling and the breathing and the taking the dog for a walk. I would highly suggest that you write a bunch of those down, maybe 5, maybe 10, put a list in your kitchen somewhere or wherever you're going to see it. And when that happens and you're like, all right, but I really want that, but I can't really think of something to do instead, you have this great list right there to choose from of things that you love, because you're not going to want to go choose something you don't like. Oh, I'm not going to eat this piece of cake, but I'm going to go do the laundry. No. Because guess what? You're going to come back up and you're going to eat that piece of cake because that laundry was not satisfying.
I did the laundry, so now I deserve it even more.
Exactly. So what is it you love? I'm going to go let myself read 10 minutes of my book. I am going to go take a walk. I am going to go sit in sunshine, or go call a friend, or something that just kind of flips the switch, which I think is an amazing way to look at that. Before I let you continue, Karen, we got a bunch of people on. We have a few that are on Zoom because I didn't give everyone the link, and a bunch that are on the Facebook group. So these ladies right now, let me know if you have any questions. If you have any specific questions, if you are on Zoom, type them in chat. I do have the chat box open. If you are on Facebook, I do have Facebook on my phone. So go ahead and type those questions in now so that we make sure while we have Karen here that you can get your questions answered. Amazing.
So the other thing is when, just a little bit of a side note while we're waiting to see if there's more questions coming, when you're doing your activity, the other thing is checking in with yourself while you're doing it, being really present. I've had clients where, they suggest, okay, I'm going to start going for daily walks, and that kind of thing. And then they come back and, a week later, it's like, no, I'm still depressed. I'm still, and then when I start to be curious with them and ask them, well, where did you go? What did you see? And then they go, oh, yeah, I was probably really not attending to what I was doing. So, they were still at home with their worries. Type of thing. So making sure that's the other piece, is being present, almost like the pinch yourself type of thing. Okay, wow, this is really happening. This is a beautiful sunset, or, whatever, noticing that. So.
Yeah. How often does that happen, ladies, where you're like going through the day and all of a sudden you realize the day's over and you don't know what you did all day long? You weren't really present for it. You were off thinking about the 15 other things you have to do after work, or driving home, right? That's probably the worst, the best. Yeah. You're driving home. The next thing you know, you're home. And you missed it all because you were paying attention to 15 other things you were thinking about you had to do when you got home. So Jessica has a question. Wonderful. Does your body respond to sugar substitute the same as sugar?
Great question. Great
Yes,
question.
it is a good question.
And I don't know well, I don't know the neuromechanics of sugar substitutes, but if you think about it, think about when you have a sugar substitute, how do you feel?
Yeah.
Does that satisfy you? Well, if it does, then, then that's just because everybody's system is different as well. Yeah. Everybody's going to respond to different things differently. So it's kind of hard to say. But, I'll leave that to everybody that I don't know that piece about it. But I think if you're talking about the pleasure system, it depends subjectively how your system, and you'll only know by trying it.
Absolutely. And we do find, right, that sugar substitutes typically are not good for us. Typically there's a toxic component that comes with it, which obviously raises our inflammation, which can cause migraines. But there have been studies that have been done on the sugar substitutes as far as how they impact you physically, where they actually make you crave sugar.
And I've heard that before too. I didn't want to say because I'm not the specialist in that, but
Absolutely.
I've heard that before too. Yeah.
And I'm not the specialist in it either, but there's quite a few studies out there. Dr. Hyman talks about it quite a bit, quite a few professor, quite a few other people who have literally done studies showing that when you do something like a stevia, that because it's not as satisfying as actual sugar, you want it more, this is the issue with Diet Coke. How many people do we know were, switched over to Diet Coke years ago, and then instead of drinking 1 Coke a day, they started drinking 4.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, for sure.
Because of the effects that had on it. So as far as you are concerned, Jessica, I would 100% avoid substitutes for the sake of migraines. There is no one that would be better than another if you did have to choose. I'll be honest, this is my personal opinion. If you had to splurge on something, I would rather you pick a regular sugar and have sugar than to have something that's fake, right? Just do it. Get it out of your system, do it and enjoy it. But choose the best sugar. Then if we have to choose a sugar, let's look at coconut palm sugar. Let's look at raw local honey. Let's look at, maple syrup possibly versus a white sugar. If we can, those would be our backstrap molasses, those kind of things, or even using dates as sugar, right? Using dates in recipes. That would be my choice versus using a substitute that is typically man-made or man-altered.
Yes, for sure.
Let me know if that makes sense, Jessica. I think we have another question here. Does natural sugar dried apricots before bed make sleeping difficult?
Wow, interesting questions. Wow.
I'll jump on this one from the migraine perspective. So we don't want to eat dried apricots right before bed because they are a carbohydrate. And the last thing that we want to do for migraines is have carbohydrates before bed. The only thing we should be having, if anything, should be fat, because fat is going to sustain you overnight. It's going to tell your body, kind of like that bear in hibernation, I'm good. I can sleep 8 hours. I don't need to wake you for fuel. But when you have a carbohydrate, it goes through your body much quicker, which can signal your body in the middle of the night to go, the apricot's gone. I need food. I need to survive. Remember how Karen talked before about how we are wired to survive? We are wired that way. So if that apricot is gone and out of your system and your system is looking for glucose, it's going to wake you up and say, have some food.
And I think that's a really good, and the way I'd kind of look at it neurologically, or, from the science background. Okay. So if I'm not sure whether she's saying, is it okay to have a dried apricot before I go to bed? Is it because I'm craving some sugar and I'm thinking dried apricot is probably the best choice? So, I'm presuming that that's the kind of way that she's asking. Correct me if I'm wrong, but so just being present with that that want, that need. Okay, what is that about? Like, is there something that is going on in my system that is saying, okay, I need some pleasure right now. I need some sugar. I need something to kind of push that other stuff away. and just, doing some breathing with that and kind of being present with it. And, so if you did the stop skill, STOP, and sort of observing, and maybe part of your observations was you had a thought that, oh, I'm worried that I'm not going to get up in time, and I'm not going to have a good sleep because I've got a busy day tomorrow, and and then we go, okay, now what do we need to do with that? And recognizing, okay, so that's part of my sleep regime. And I don't know whether you work with sleep regime, but okay, so what do I need to polish up on my sleep regime, that kind of thing, to help prepare me to have a better night.
Absolutely.
If that makes sense.
It 100% does. Sally Ann, let me know if that covers your question, if that makes sense. Anybody else have any last questions while Karen and I wrap up here? I think we've answered what I have. I didn't get any submitted ahead of time. So now's your chance. You've got the expert in the room to ask your questions. Karen, anything else that you wanted to fill these ladies in on as we're sitting here waiting for just a quick minute?
Actually, I could offer one quick, very simple, self-soothing calming. What sparked my memory was when we were talking about sleep, having difficulty sleeping. If you have difficulty sleeping, I find this little short exercise, and which works directly with calming the fight, flight, fright system. So it works directly with the nervous system. And I don't know whether people have heard of it before. It's called the butterfly hug. It comes from my therapy that I work with, EMDR. And so basically have your hands like this, cross your arms, have your thumbs like this. And so basically you've got a butterfly on your chest. This is your head. And you just take your hands and just one side and the other and breathe. And if you do this and just breathe, sometimes I'll do it if I go to bed and I've got a million things on my brain and I can't sleep, I'll just lay and do some butterfly. Breathe. And you'll be surprised. Or if you're feeling, you could even use it after you did your stop skill. If you wanted to help bring yourself back to calming, you could do that too. At any time that you find you're really, you're ready to run away from the tiger, this can help calm you.
All right. So honesty, how many people are doing it right now? I love it. I absolutely love it. Even if you're watching the replay, let me know if you just did the butterfly hug. I think it's something we should all practice. I can see that Erin might be practicing on her mindset calls. I can see that, because it's kind of the basic concept of tapping, right? Breathing and tapping and just kind of doing that reset, which is so important to stop what we're doing in the moment and actually think. Jackie said she did it. And so did Sally Ann.
Come to the body, breathe. Feel the body, feel that nice relaxation, right?
It's so simple, right? And I think
it is exactly.
This is such the key. We are always looking for this super hard, complex, science-y. I can't understand and say the words. I can't pronounce some explanation for everything, or how we can solve things. And really, we have to remember that if we just take it back to the basics, like the tips you gave today were nice and basic and things that we can do, but we don't necessarily always think they're going to work because they are so basic.
Exactly.
We don't give them a chance, right? Because
exactly.
Well, how can stop work? Karen, you're telling me stop is going to work when I want something to eat. There's no way it's going to work. Well, are we trying it? And are we trying it more than like a 10-year-old that says I tried it once and I hate it and I'm never doing it again? Right?
I ate that little piece of broccoli. That's it.
We got to give it the old college try, as they say. We got to give it a couple weeks to actually see some difference and to shift that mindset on the fact that this is something that's going to help me versus, can this be something that's going to help me? Two totally different ways of looking at it, right? This is something I am going to do. This is going to support my body. This is what my body needs versus, all right, Karen came on, she did an interview. She told me about stop. I'm going to try it. We'll see what happens.
Right? Be a curious George, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Allow yourself to explore what that's going to feel like.
Absolutely.
It's going to take you 60 seconds to do that, right? Just explore it. Yeah.
And that's what we need. We need things that are quick and actionable because these women, their spare time, they don't have a lot of it, because so much of it is eaten up in the beginning with migraines.
For sure.
Erin's asking, would we please repeat the part about if sugar is considered addictive? Is sugar something that you consider addictive?
Okay, it is a, if it's something that you're find that you want a lot, and you're noticing that it's, okay, it's when I'm really stressed about something, or it's when I have a headache, or it's when I have some pain, or I've just, finished a conversation with somebody and I'm not happy about it. It's almost like if it's a self-soothing, you're noticing, like, so by doing this stop skill, you're going to start to notice, when is it when I want that sugar. Like sugar on its own, I guess, I think from things that I've read, it has a sort of an addictive quality, but it depends on, I think, what kind of sugar it is, whether it's a natural sugar or man-made.
Right.
But I think the bigger piece of it is recognizing when you crave it, what's going on. And if you're finding, and you'll see if you chart it and look at when you want it, and you're noticing that it's when things are bad, and when you've had a crappy day that you want it more, then yeah, I would say it's because you've learned through behavior of having it that you want it more, because that's biology that's teaching you, okay, that made me feel good, I'm going to grab for it again. Well, then the more you do that, excuse me, the more paved that road gets, the more addictive that type of thing could be, whether it's sugar, whether it's alcohol, whether it's drugs, whether it's, they all are in the same kind of realm of feeling not in control.
Absolutely. And let's face it, things that are healthy for us can be addictive. So there are many people that I know that are addicted to exercise.
Yes, for sure.
There was an article that I read once about someone who, believe it or not, was addicted to brushing their teeth. Brush their teeth, I haven't heard that so often that it hurt their mouth, but it was, for some reason, they associated brushing their teeth with comfort or something like that. So we have to remember that sugar, I'm not saying sugar's evil. I'm not saying it's great, because I do think it has inflammatory consequences, but it's not evil if we can get ourselves to a point in our migraine freedom where the inflammatory load is reduced and we can figure out where it fits into our world properly. And it isn't something that is, our mind is taken over, right? I can't remember who it was. Actually, I do remember Kathy yesterday, who said she's now craving, I can't remember the exact foods, I'm probably going to screw it up, but I think it was avocados, mushrooms, and something else. But it's so good to hear that, we're craving good foods and not having that sugar in there, because typically what do we crave? No one ever craves broccoli, right? Avocado,
exactly.
Thank you. I readily admit, I don't think I've ever craved broccoli. If anybody here has ever craved broccoli, let me know. But typically we crave chips, we crave chocolate, we want a glass of wine, we don't crave broccoli and things. But obviously we can. Yes, Kathy's watching.
It's, and again, that speaks to the habit, right?
Yeah.
The paved road, whatever it's, if you can eat broccoli all the time, and you're recognizing that it tastes good, I don't mind the taste of it, tastes pretty good, and then you're reflecting, okay, it makes me feel better, I didn't get a headache, and I've got energy, well then it's going to become something you're going to associate with a good feeling, so you're going to want it.
Exactly. Oh, Karen, this was amazing. I think we got some great insight here. Everyone seems very excited about what they've learned and what they've heard today. This is last call for questions, so I can honor your time and honor Karen's time. Did we cover everything, Karen? Did we leave anything out? Anything you wanted to mention?
I think we did pretty good. Yeah, we did pretty good, I think. Amazing.
Well, everyone, Kathy, we've got Kathy, Sally Ann, Jackie, Kate is watching, Helen is watching, Erin is obviously on. I think Jessica, I think I caught everybody. Rhonda's on.
Wow, big group
over here. Another Jessica. I think I caught everybody. If I missed somebody, my apologies. But I think we got everyone. So in the comments, I am going to make sure to drop, Karen, I have contact info for you somewhere, don't I? Yes, I do.
I'm sure you do. Yep.
I found it. So I'll make sure to drop that in the comments after this call. So if anybody wants to learn more about this process, they can contact Karen directly. But I greatly appreciate your time today and sharing your knowledge with this group to help them move one step closer to their migraine freedom.
Right. Well, I appreciate the invite, and yeah, it was great. Thank you.
Absolutely wonderful. All right, ladies, that is it for today. Have a wonderful migraine-free day, and we will see you in the group. Take care.
Take care. Bye.